So let's dive into the world of frozen treats and explore the distinct ingredients used in gelato and ice cream. You might be surprised to learn that although they both fall under the category of frozen desserts, there are some key differences in their dairy and sugar content. First, let's talk about the dairy component. Traditional ice cream typically contains a higher percentage of cream compared to gelato. In fact, gelato is often made with more milk than cream, which gives it a lower fat content than ice cream. This is one of the reasons why gelato has a slightly less rich mouthfeel compared to its counterpart. Now, moving on to sugar content. Both gelato and ice cream contain sugar, but the levels can vary. So, gelato tends to have a slightly lower sugar content than ice cream, which contributes to its characteristic smooth and dense texture. The balance of sugar and dairy in gelato helps to create its unique mouthfeel that many people find irresistible. In summary, the main differences between gelato and ice cream in terms of ingredients lie in their dairy and sugar content. Gelato typically has a lower fat content due to the use of more milk than cream, and a slightly lower sugar content as well. These differences in ingredients play a crucial role in creating the distinct textures and flavors of these beloved frozen treats. Now that we've explored the ingredients, let's move on to the unique preparation methods of gelato and ice cream. It may come as a surprise, but the way these frozen treats are made has a significant impact on their texture and mouthfeel. The key factors here are churning speeds and air incorporation. Starting with churning speeds. Gelato is churned at a much slower speed compared to ice cream. This slow churning helps to minimize the amount of air that gets incorporated into the mixture. On the other hand, ice cream is churned at a higher speed, which introduces more air into the mix. This process is called overrun, and it's responsible for giving ice cream its light and airy texture. Now, let's talk about air incorporation. As I mentioned earlier, gelato has less air incorporated into it during the churning process. This results in a denser and creamier final product. Ice cream, with its higher overrun, is fluffier and less dense due to the increased air content. The differences in churning speeds and air incorporation during the preparation of gelato and ice cream are crucial in creating their unique textures. Gelato's slower churning speed and lower air content result in a smooth, dense, and creamy treat, while the faster churning and higher air content in ice cream produce a lighter and fluffier dessert. In a nutshell, the preparation methods of gelato and ice cream play a significant role in shaping the final product. The contrasting churning speeds and levels of air incorporation are key factors that set these two frozen desserts apart. Now that we've covered the ingredients and preparation methods, it's time to examine the contrast and textures of gelato and ice cream. As you may have noticed, gelato has a smoother and denser consistency compared to ice cream, and there are specific factors that contribute to this difference. And first, let's talk about fat content. As we discussed earlier, gelato typically has a lower fat content due to the use of more milk than cream. This lower fat content allows the flavors to come through more intensely, creating a more robust taste experience. In contrast, the higher fat content in ice cream can sometimes coat the tongue and mute the flavor slightly. Next, we have air incorporation. The slower turning speed of gelato, as mentioned before, results in less air being incorporated into the mixture. This lower air content creates a denser and creamier texture, as opposed to the lighter and fluffier texture of ice cream. The denser texture of gelato also contributes to its smooth and velvety mouthfeel. Finally, serving temperature plays a role in the texture differences. Gelato is typically served at a slightly warmer temperature than ice cream, which allows it to maintain its soft and creamy texture. Ice cream, on the other hand, is served at a colder temperature, giving it a firmer and icier consistency. In conclusion, the contrasting textures of gelato and ice cream can be attributed to differences in fat content, air incorporation, and serving temperature. The lower fat content, minimal air content, and warmer serving temperature of gelato result in its signature smooth, dense, and creamy consistency, setting it apart from the lighter and fluffier texture of ice cream. Let's now turn our attention to the variations in flavor intensity between gelato and ice cream. The distinct taste profiles of these two frozen treats are influenced by factors such as ingredient ratios and serving temperatures. So let's dive into how these factors affect the flavor experience of gelato and ice cream. First up, ingredient ratios. As we've discussed earlier, gelato typically has a lower fat content compared to ice cream due to the use of more milk than cream. This lower fat content allows the flavors to shine through more intensely, as fat can sometimes coat the tongue and mask the taste of other ingredients. Additionally, the slightly lower sugar content in gelato contributes to a more balanced flavor profile, allowing the natural flavors of the ingredients to come forward without being overwhelmed by sweetness. Now, let's talk about serving temperatures. Gelato is usually served at a slightly warmer temperature than ice cream, typically around 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. This warmer temperature allows the flavors in gelato to be more pronounced, as colder temperatures can dull our taste buds. On the other hand, ice cream is served at a colder temperature, which can result in a less intense flavor experience. In summary, the differences in flavor intensity between gelato and ice cream can be attributed to variations in ingredient ratios and serving temperatures. The lower fat content and warmer serving temperature of gelato allow for a more intense and balanced flavor experience, while the higher fat content and colder serving temperature of ice cream may lead to a milder taste profile. So depending on your flavor preferences, you might find yourself leaning towards the bold flavors of gelato or the more subtle taste of ice cream. Now that we've explored the differences between gelato and ice cream in terms of ingredients, preparation, texture, and flavor, let's delve into their origins and historical development. Both of these frozen treats have fascinating stories that trace their popularity across different regions and cultures. Starting with gelato, its history can be traced back to ancient Rome and Egypt, where people would enjoy a frozen dessert made from crushed ice or snow mixed with fruit pieces. However, the modern version of gelato, as we know it today, has its roots in Renaissance Italy. It's believed that the famous artist and architect Bernardo Buontalenti introduced an early version of gelato to the Medici court in Florence during the 16th century. The art of gelato making then spread throughout Italy and eventually reached other European countries. Moving on to ice cream, its origins are a little more debated. Some historians believe that ice cream can be traced back to ancient China, where a frozen dessert made from milk and rice was enjoyed as early as 200 BC. Another theory suggests that the Persian Empire was the birthplace of ice cream, with a dessert called sharbat, made from fruit syrups, rose water, and snow. However, it wasn't until the 18th century that ice cream became popular in Europe and America, thanks to technological advancements in refrigeration and ice production. Over time, both gelato and ice cream have continued to evolve and gain popularity across the globe. Today, you can find an incredible variety of flavors, textures, and style of these frozen treats, reflecting the diverse tastes and preferences of people from different cultures and regions. In conclusion, the origins of gelato and ice cream can be traced back to ancient times, with each frozen treat having its own unique history and development. The popularity of these desserts has grown over time, showcasing the universal appeal of a delicious frozen treat that transcends borders and brings people together.